UCLA with their biggest win of the year. A stunning upset at Purdue, down 6 with a buck and a half left. The Bruins go 8-0 to win the game. Changes the complexion of the season.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this reaction episode of Locked On UCLA. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever it's your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Welcome back every day as the Bruins somehow get the job done over number 4 Purdue. In what was a near sellout, they gave out thousands of John Wooden bobbleheads. The Bruins pull off the upset, getting number 4 Purdue their second loss of the year. The Bruins, who entering the day were on the wrong side of the bubble. Joe Lunardi had updated something on ESPN saying the Bruins are on the bubble, tweeted out on his own social media page that UCLA's not even in the tournament. Their next 4 out. They're in the back 8, looking on the wrong side in. Well, UCLA's got a win that nobody else does. I know those NorCal schools have been close to getting big wins. I know USC was close to getting big wins. No, UCLA came back after getting some tough travel schedule. Going to the Midwest, going back west to play Maryland. Going east, looking bad against Ohio State. Coming west, still with some Sky Clark injuries. A UCLA team that got zero production from the bench. And you know what? Despite playing a team that was traveling but had more rest being out west, Purdue, despite a rough game against USC, won that. The Bruins played a Mick Cronin-like game. This felt eerily similar to how UCLA played against Arizona. The Bruins were kind of back and forth early against the Wildcats, played well, and it felt like, oh, they're up 5. They had that chance to break away. Couldn't. Purdue went up 6 with about 2 minutes left, a minute and a half left. You're like, dude, this feels exactly like the Arizona game, right? There was one chance where Cronin put in Jamerson for Booker. Jamerson got a big rebound, and then he committed a foul. What was the big sequence, I thought, was when Jacobson for Purdue had a big rebound, had a putback. I think it was Jacobson or it was Clough. I don't exactly remember who it was. He got fouled on a putback, missed the free throw. Purdue got the rebound, and then Smith hit a bucket to go up 4. UCLA responded with the 3, only for Purdue to go up 4. Well, no, it was the Donovan Dent legacy game. The guy who we've been lamenting, the guy who's been waiting for the moment. Donovan Dent, when he needed to do it the most, came out and said, all right, I'm going to put this team on my freaking back. 3 blocks. He had a steal, 13 assists. I don't know what the percentage of points that Donovan Dent assisted on or helped for UCLA in this game of 69 points, but he scored 23 of them. And then if you mix in what he assisted, more than 50 to 60 or 70% of the points tonight for UCLA. In a game where there weren't many free throws, 10 combined free throws, UCLA took care of the basketball. They blocked more shots than Purdue, and Purdue has bigger size than the Bruins, all right? They don't have excellent size. When you're looking at Booker's sometimes timidness, you're looking at Jamerson off the bench. It was the Dent legacy game. You're talking about the best point guard in the Big Ten. Yes, I know he's banged up. UCLA did this without Sky Clark, who's been their most consistent guard all year long, shooting the 3, scoring off the dribble, defensively, doing it all. And despite all that, you're like, man, UCLA's down 12 before the half. We're like, same old Bruins, down 27-15 in the first half. And oh, by the way, you know what was the biggest shot? That weird clanked, braked shot that went in for Dent at the buzzer the first half off the back iron and dropped. And then when UCLA was down 6, you know what? Dent came in. He knew UCLA needed a bucket. He's been afraid to shoot threes all year long. He came up, stepped up, and drilled one in the face of the Purdue defender when Purdue was about to pull it away. Then the Bruins got a big steal, led to a bucket, got another stop, led to UCLA having that final possession despite a couple of timeouts and the take foul that I think was so horribly given by Purdue. I think that was horribly executed by Matt Pater's team. Horribly so, with that take foul with like 20 seconds. Like, I don't really understand what was the point of that. Only for UCLA to get a double on Dent, kick out to Bilideau, who's probably the one guy you don't want to leave open if you're Purdue. And Bilideau got red hot in that second half, hit 4 threes. Basically, all his scoring was from the 3-point line and a gamer. This felt Big like the Wisconsin win last year, but played out similar to the Michigan State game where the Bruins got that late bucket to get the job done. And you know when UCLA was successful last year? This time last year, they had a 7-game stint on the West Coast. That's exactly what UCLA has in this one now. They came back from a weird East Coast trip where they survived for the most part. They have a better winning record overall and in Big Ten play to this point. Now they're on the West Coast for a long time. It took a Tuesday night home win. I believe it was a Tuesday night home win for UCLA that changed the season. A shocking one against Wisconsin. You know what UCLA did in this one? A Tuesday night home win that kind of got the crowd back into it. That's the vibes Pauley Pavilion should be rocking all Big Ten season long. And now you're going to start playing teams, if you're UCLA, that are beatable. That are beatable on your schedule. Because UCLA has now played the number 1 team in the country, a top 10 Gonzaga team, a top 4 Purdue team. You mix in Wisconsin, who went and beat a number 2 Michigan team. What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of now? The Bruins host Northwestern. They're playing an Oregon team that's beat up on the road. You're hosting an Indiana on the bubble, hosting Rutgers, hosting Washington before you go play Michigan. You're telling me those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, right? Your 6-game West Coast stretch, that is enough for UCLA at this point to get close to 20 wins. They can execute that. And all of a sudden you go from next 4 out to borderline 9 seed in a day. I'm not sure how many wrongs this is going to jump up the Bruins, let alone affect the net ranking. I don't have that in front of me. It's game changing. Now UCLA, the worst thing is we have to watch them. They lose this game, they lose it bad, you can write them off. They win this game, and the way they did it, the comeback, the game that they needed their swagger back. UCLA hasn't had their swagger this year. They had a little swagger against Arizona. It seemed like they were timid and had limited swagger versus Zaga. And now the Bruins are like, wait a minute, we got some swagger. You go beat Northwestern, you avoid the letdown in the next couple weeks heading into the middle of February when you play Michigan and Michigan State. You still got, what, a top 11 Illinois team later. You got USC who's hyped, Nebraska who's big time. There are opportunities for UCLA at home and on the West Coast to build a resume that is now wide open, looking for stamps to punch their ticket into the NCAA tournament. That is wide open once again. UCLA did this without their best 3-point shooter. They did it without Sky Clark. I know Purdue had longer travel, but they still have been here longer than the Bruins. They were here playing USC on a Saturday night, and UCLA was flying back from Columbus after a week out east. Like, this is stunning. And the fact they're down 6 with a minute and a half to play? Like, what are we talking about here? Let's go over the rest of this stuff. Xavier Booker, I said in my podcast with Nick Arvin, we needed to see something from him. I was sitting there getting ready to come on this podcast that UCLA desperately was going to lament Mick Cronin's fractured relationship with the Daimara. Because you can tell how much that Donovan Dent needs a good big. Why? Because if he's crashed into the hole, the bigs have to respect the lob threat to a big. That would be Mata. Or this could be Booker. But he's still afraid to get that jam. And Jamerson doesn't earn enough minutes. And Brandon Williams just isn't that guy that pairs well with Donovan Dent as the 5. So now you look at what could have been fractured. Instead, Dent was productive, hit a 3. He had 3 blocks, 4 boards. Cronin desperately wanted to take Booker out in the wrong moment, but Jamerson committed a foul. Booker, after a 2-minute start, played 35 minutes and survived, and I think is slowly building confidence. Bilideau put out there his 3-point stroke. Yeah, it wasn't his best scoring night, but when it came to the Purdue bigs, he scrapped all night long and drilled threes just about every big moment of the game. UCLA needed to go up 4, hit it. When UCLA's down 4, hit it. For the win, hit it. Yelling a big time, bang, bang, bang. You look at Trent Perry. Perry with a huge steal, easy assist to Daly when UCLA was down 3, cut it to 1. He had an 11-point night. He hit 3 threes. And UCLA in this game shot more efficiently from 3, made more threes, and that's the difference between previous Mick Cronin teams. This Bruins team is better at 3-point shooting. And while that's Purdue's somewhat bread and butter outside of feeding the bigs, UCLA was able to get 3-point shots from a team that was missing their best 3-point shooter. We didn't see a lot of Jamerson. There was non-existence from Jamar Brown and Brandon Williams. If you told me we had 8 minutes from Eric Freeney, 8 minutes from Eric Freeney as your longest tenured reserve coming off the bench, and you're telling me UCLA won that game? Are you serious? Are you being serial right now? Yeah, that's how I don't believe it. The Bruins survived a great outing from CJ Cox, who Arvin of Locked On Boilermakers was saying off-ball defender, played well. Fletcher Lawyer didn't do much. You had Trey Kaufman-Renn, who had a rather quiet night outside of a last-minute put-back bucket. And I think the way it was called, physical, but not overly physical, not a lot of free throws, didn't punish UCLA, who basically played with 5.5 dudes all game long. Purdue had more bench, they had more options, a lot more depth, they were better, but the Bruins won the game. While being severely shorthanded, weary, traveling, super tired from the travel, everything still led to UCLA winning this game. A game changer in the Donovan Dent legacy game that over the next 2 months could change the trajectory of his short UCLA career. Could he go from legend, from the guy who we could point to as, oh, what's wrong with the NIL, to, man, there's a reason Mick Cronin targeted this dude as his senior leader. And he stepped up in their biggest game of the year thus far. I'm hyped to the nth degree. Now let's get some hype. Let's talk UCLA hoops every day. Man, I'm hyped. I am hyped. And they have a chance to go on a winning streak of legitimately 6 straight games. And is that possible? Is that likely? I'm not sure. Are they consistent enough to do it? Who knows? But it's the same type of year, same time of the year that last year the Bruins went from chumps to competitors. Out of the tournament to stacking up a resume and a winning streak that they were consistently winners and in the tournament by the time March rolled around. It wasn't a question last year. Same time, right on schedule. I'm not sure I'm ready for a John Rothstein tweet that says Mick Cronin more consistent than what, some movie on a rainy Saturday, whatever it is, or Sunday. But man, just like last year, the Bruins can set themselves up for success. All right. So here the Bruins go. They're off, and I'm hyped. Huge win. Hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked on UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.